Assembly, the CED, look with favor upon the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that we may perform this high duty as in our sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Allow members of Parliament and Ministers of State with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people, and the love for the common good. Let the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming future of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, we will take item 6. Item 6. Correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We start with the correction of votes and proceedings of Friday, 7th March 2025. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8. Yes, Honorable Member.
Speaker, with respect, none of us on the last will has a copy of the closet. No, they haven't uploaded it. Please don't upload.
Page 8. Yes.
Thank you very much. The speaker for consistent 6A. Item 6A. Methodist Girls High School. Chapter. The gratuity has been spelled E. However, if you go to page 262 of the constituency, the gratuity is spelled I. I don't know whether it's the I or the E that's correct. Yeah, this one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Table Office. Kindly cross-check the correct spelling of Aquapim. Aquapim with regard to the constituency, not the general term of the proper spelling of the name of the constituency. Page.
I don't know this is a correct spelling.
Which one is the correct spelling? So what about page 2 when it's an I?
The electoral commission is designated as an I, but for the school.
I am not interested in the electoral commission. I am interested in the correct spelling.
The correct spelling is an E.
Yes, so why did you draw attention where at page 2? When it was spelled with I. That is not a challenge to me. It's a challenge to you. If it's that the whole house giving copies, that I can come in. But when some individuals don't have copies, it's not a point of order for Mr. Speaker to interrupt the proceedings. Yes. Minister for Foreign Affairs.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, item number 5II at page 8. The communication from His Excellency the President informing the House that the Honourable Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka has been assigned additional ministerial responsibility for national security. Mr. Speaker, the additional has been omitted. It should be inserted so that it doesn't create the impression that this is because he's Minister for the Interior and has been assigned responsibility for national security. The rendition here does not accurately capture that because it's not a reshuffle if it's not captured accurately. So Right Honourable Speaker, the rendition here does not convey accurately what the communication is, because he's the Minister for Interior and he has been assigned that additional responsibility for national security. So, Mr. Speaker, if the table office can capture the essence more accurately, you don't get that impression here.
Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs, what's your authority on this? Is it in the law or in the communication?
Well, Right Honourable Speaker, is from the communication, and Honourable Ministers
have
were
you
copied.
had sight of the communication?
Yes, Right Honourable Speaker, we were copied.
Whether you were talking or you were laughing, that's not an issue. The issue is, have you had sight of the communication? You are
yes,
sure?
Mr. Speaker.
Because the copy I read did not have any word like additional. The communication is that he's being assigned the responsibility of not additional responsibility. So, Minister, you are out of order. Yes, can we proceed? Yes, Minister for Energy and Green Transition. Oh, Energy and Green Transition.
Mr. Speaker, just a suggestion to you. Probably through you to the table office. It's true that not all of us have had copies of the, not the order paper, the votes and proceedings. Mr. Speaker, under your able leadership, you provided us with very, very beautiful and working computers. So maybe I thought that I could appeal to you if you could direct the table office to make available next time the votes and proceedings on the computer. At least without even the paper copy, we can easily follow on the computer and make comments and suggestions as necessary. Mr. Speaker, just for your guidance and consideration. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable members, the structure we are using as the Chamber of Parliament was constructed in 1964. In spite of all our attempts to modernize it, we are still having serious challenges. And so it's not easy to unload some of the applications we have. Even the electrical connections are also giving us serious problems. It means we have to replace all, including the Job 600, and that's quite a colossal sum, which our budget has not been able to take. So we have a lot to unload into your PCs, but we are having challenges. And so you see that we're doing it piecemeal. And I hope in the near future we'll succeed in putting all there so that it will be a paperless parliament. We don't want to be giving you hard copies. It's quite expensive to run such a system. So bear with us. We'll get there sooner than later. Yes, honorable members, can we go to page 9? Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Yes, honorable member. Honorable member, my mic is working. Honorable members, is it the case that your mics have stopped working? Honorable members, I will proceed to suspend sitting for a few minutes so that it could be rectified. Please, just some 5 minutes.
It's back. The speaker is back.
Honorable members, are you sure?
Mine is on. This is on. Then everybody should come here and talk. Mr. Speaker, it appears that my microphone is working, and I'm ready to yield my space for anybody who wants to speak in the House, Mr. Speaker. I'm ready to do that, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, sitting is suspended for 5 minutes.
Oh, nice working. Ah, no. The mic is not working. But as at the time you want to.
Mine has come now. It's not stable. It's like that can be
Hello, hello, hello. Rob, what's in our number? We don't know. Jetro. Mr. Jetro. Call him to come. Mr. Jetro. Honorable members, may I have your attention for just a minute. Honorable members, the microphone has been configured in such a way that only one can be put on at a time. So where we have 2 or 3 people put on their microphones at the same time, it creates a problem. The system has to restart. So please, let us bear that in mind, so that at all material times,
only one microphone will be on. Speaker's own and any member having the floor. Let us pay attention to that. Anytime we do anything different, we will have problems. So please bear that in mind. Thank you very much.
I needed your.
Okay.
Let's reset it. Talk about man selected constituency. They have agenda. It's only you can come. People they said.
So guys, they said the microphones are off, so they need to give them a 5-minute break for them to check them out. So that's why you can see, yeah, that of them. You can see them in the middle right here. So they said the microphones are off, so they need to give them some minutes for them to check it out. So you can see John Dumelo, and then Afeni Martins, and then Kudita Blafa, and then more of them are in over here. Yes, you see that they are having some chit chat. So that Abambagui is not. He was in earlier on, but right now he's out. So they are going to say 5 minutes break. So when the 5 minutes comes, when it's up to the 5 minutes up to, he will come in. So let's go on and see what is going on in the parliament. You see that they are having a chit chat, talking to each other.
were at page 8. We now move to page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Yes, honorable member.
Speaker, I'm exceedingly grateful for the opportunity. And with your leave, let me please seek your superior judgment and wisdom on item 15, Roman numeral 2. Dr. Justice Shremside, a nominee for Deputy Ministerial Portfolio. Speaker, if you take the 13 report of the appointment committee, the nominee has been designated as Deputy Minister for Justice and Attorney General. But over here, the votes and proceedings have captured it as Deputy Attorney General and Deputy Minister, Ministry of Justice. I do not know if it's a needless repetition, especially with the deputy coming at the two ends. I seek your superior judgment.
Honorable member, this is the correct designation. He is a Deputy Attorney General and also a Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Justice. That is the correct designation. May we go on now? Page 14. Yes, please.
Honorable Speaker, on page 14, I can 16 motion, on recognition of the day, the second sentence, the Honorable Secretary of the Chair has 16 the 28. The Honorable First Deputy Speaker of the Chair, Deputy is missing, he said, and the same applies to the next sentence, so constitutional amendment to that. Thank you.
Honorable member, we are grateful. Table of his kindly take note. Page 15. Page 16. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. On page 16, item 9, item 9I, name number 11. Honorable Professor Grace.
Page 16.
Page 16.
Yes.
Name number 11. Item 9I. Just Committee of Selection.
Oh, you talk about item 19, not 9. 19.
19I.
Yes, please. Yes.
The arrangement of the
I see some inconsistency. In some, I know for the standard in our votes and proceedings, we usually have the title, the professor, coming at the end of the name and in brackets. But in this arrangement, the arrangement is different, Honorable Professor. And I see that again on page, we haven't gotten to page 22, but I have seen that repeated several times. So if there could be some consistency with the arrangement, I think that would be helpful, Mr. Speaker.
It doesn't come up.
Thank you.
Honorable member will take note of that. Page 17. Page 18. Yes, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Page 18. Page 18. Item 11 and 12 has been repeated. Honorable Alfredni Koteyashi. It's both at 11 and 12. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, my attention has been drawn by the chief whips to the fact that there have been some mistakes, errors in the list that was submitted and approved. I think it was on Friday. Yes. And so they are working at it, and they will come back to us properly. So we await that. So if you identify some of the issues you are raising now, please kindly hold your peace. We'll get it corrected later on. Please. We'll do that later on. With regard to the composition of the committees, both standing and select committees. So page 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, up to the end of 58 will be taken later on. So please, honorable members, hold your peace until they resubmit the proper composition to the House. In the meantime, the committees by law are established. It's only the composition that we're having issues with. The referral will be to the committees, and that is what will happen after the presentation of the budget. Please, with that, we'll take page 59. Page 60. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the 29th sitting, dated Friday, 7th March 2025, is adopted as the true record of proceedings. I have a copy of the official report of Tuesday, 25th February 2025. Any corrections? Honorable members, in the absence of any correction, yes?
Mr. Speaker, some minor corrections on column 79, second paragraph, line 8. Line 8. The former president, John Ajekun Kufuor, names are very significant. The second Kufuor was spelled wrongly. It should be Kufuor, not Our. Kufuor. It's a Kufuor. Then the last paragraph, the last sentence beginning to turn to that concept. Turned is used here, but I suspect the right word should be turned, T-U-R-N, instead of turned, T-E-N-D. Thank you.
Table office, kindly take note of that. Yes, honorable member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on column 75, line 8, the sentence should read, but I want to highlight one important thing that the maker, Mr. Speaker, the article there has been excluded, and I think that it is proper we include that. Still on the same column, line 17. Mr. Speaker, it should read as, I think that apart from the law, the act that was passed by the House, we has been omitted. We should look at the projects. So, Mr. Speaker, the Hansard department the table should include we there. Mr. Speaker, column 76, paragraph 3. We have, Mr. Speaker, lastly, I would want to also suggest that apart from the budgeting uploading of projects, the mistake here is the phrase, the maker of the statement has to be deleted. The maker of the statement has to be deleted and replaced with we, so that it will then read as, Mr. Speaker, lastly, I would want to also suggest that apart from the budgetary uploading of projects, we could include in every brochure, ... So that, I think, should be the rendition. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, the same paragraph, _12 line. I would be able to tell that when I call this investor, the B is excluded, and it has to be included in the sentence. Be able to, and we'll replace participate with partner. We'll replace participate with partner in the same sentence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, table office, you have to listen to the voice and do the proper thing. Well, this is quite massive, and partner and participate, they are quite different and distinct. So the voice will determine which one to use. Because if you read the standing orders, it talks about it being put in as much as possible is a verbatim reportage of what is said on the floor. Yes, please.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, at column 144 of the official report, my contribution to the tribute to the Osajefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the second paragraph at column 144, the word is faith columnist, not fee. So it should be F-I-F-T-H. What we have here is F-E-E-D. So, Mr. Speaker, if that can be corrected. And then the first paragraph at column 144, Fidel Castro should not belong to that category. They should be put in a different category. So if the corrections could be effected accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, table office, kindly take note of that. Yes. Honorable members, there being no further corrections, the official report of the 25th February 2025 is hereby adopted as the true record of proceedings. Honorable members, we will now move on to the item of the day. The main item of the day, that is item 7, statements. The first statement. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on our today's order paper, item 7, as you rightly call, the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Mr. Speaker, I want to invite you to our standing orders, order 195. 2. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I need guidance and I'll read it. Mr. Speaker.
Please, let's listen to the Deputy Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the Minister was, Mr. Speaker, order 1952. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I need guidance and I read. The budget statement and economic policy of the government shall be presented to the House by the Minister responsible for finance on behalf of or on the authority of the President, and in a form the House may determine. Mr. Speaker, I'm emphasizing on the last part, in a form the House may determine. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, this new standing orders on this 9th Parliament, we haven't determined any form the budget statement will be presented as at now. Mr. Speaker, I have gone to read Order 6, and I have checked on our schedule from Schedule 1 to Schedule 10, and that of Order 6, and I have not been able to understand. And as we stand, Mr. Speaker, as at now, the House has not determined the form the budget is going to be presented. So, Mr. Speaker, the House has to determine the form before he can present any statement. Mr. Speaker, that is my plea, that the House must determine, my application is that the House must determine the form of the budget statement before he reads the statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Public Financial Management Act and its various amendments spell out clearly the budgeting process, the requirements of a budget, what must be contained in it, and etc. And that was a legislation enacted by this same Parliament. And this Parliament acts according to the prescriptions of that legislation. So if there are provisions in the standing orders that recommend that we have a form in which the budget should be presented, the provisions of the Public Financial Management Act, of course, is the parent legislation dealing with financial management and the presentation of budgets. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't think there's an issue here. Let's proceed and take the budget statement from the Minister of Finance.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I have listened to the application by the Member of Parliament for Tolon. I have also listened to the Leader of the House responding to the said application. The Leader of the House makes a general submission. The application was anchored on the rules of this House. A mandatory provision in Order 195, there's no may there. It reads, for the avoidance of doubt and at the risk of being repetitive, this is what it says. The budget statement in economic policy of the government shall be presented to the House by the Minister responsible for finance on behalf of and on the authority of the President, and in the form the House may determine. Yes, wait, look at them. Mr. Speaker, wait, yes. So, yes, wait. Mr. Speaker, they should take it easy. They should take it easy. They should take it easy. This is law. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. So, Mr. Speaker, what is the reverse logic? Please, for the benefit of our young ones, for the benefits of the young ones, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this House is a house of procedure. This House is equally guided by its own rules and precedents. Wait a moment. For those who are in a hurry to shout in his agreement, if the law says may determine, is it also the case that in reverse logic, the House may decide not to determine any form? What? No, wait. The law is that a budget statement must be presented. But we are saying again that as a House, we may have to determine which form. So, Mr. Speaker, the invitation by the minority, the deputy minority whip, is well founded. He is inviting us as a House to determine, are we going to allow him to make a statement, or we are going to allow him to move a motion? Is it going to be in a form of a motion or in a form of a statement? This is a well-anchored application. Don't use your number to shout to intimidate him. He has made a solid argument. This House has not determined the form in which this item has to be taken. The deputy minority whip is inviting us to set the ground rules. The majority leader got up and referred to PFM Act to say what? He didn't quote the specific provision. The man has made an application under our own rules. You didn't attack him on the rules. You didn't know. You didn't say anything against his application on the rules. Mr. Speaker, as the minister is here, in which form are we going to listen to him? What is he going to make a statement, or he is going to move a motion? Mr. Speaker, this house is being invited to determine this matter. You see, the Supreme Court has had an occasion to give a contextual interpretation where may is placed to mean shall. Yes, it is there. No, come on, Mr. Speaker, even that argument aside, put that argument aside. There's no need for any interpretation of whether may should be shall. The point is that the law provides that we should determine the form. The law says we should determine the form. In this house, there are ways to come here. You come to make a statement, you come to move a motion. What is the minister coming to do? It's for this house to determine. Is he going to move a motion in accordance with Article 179? Or he's coming to make a statement? And when he makes the statement, what happens? Is it going to be left with a chairman of a finance committee to now move that this house should debate the statement? Mr. Speaker, this is a solid application and he should be applauded for what he's done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I would want to rule on this matter. I've heard enough. I think in terms of procedure, the right thing has been done. The order you quoted clearly states the statement of the estimates of revenue and expenditure of the government. It says what? The statement. And so what they are bringing to us is a statement. And when statements are admitted, they are presented as statements. Now, when you go to 1952, which you refer to, it says the budget statement and economic policy of the government shall be presented to the House by the minister responsible for finance on behalf of or on the authority of the president. That's first. Second, and in a form the House may determine. Honorable Minority Leader, you are not in a shouting battle. Please. This is the House. The only way the House can determine however you define form is when the statement is presented to you. When you are, this is the House, he's presenting the statement. If you decide that you want a form, you define form in any different manner as you are doing, then this is the time when it is presented, you take this opportunity to determine that form you want. Different from the earlier forms that we've decided and been practicing. If this is what you want to do, please, the statement must first be presented to you. It has to be presented to the House. And if you may, you determine the form you want it to be presented. That can be part of the debate. But I'm not sure the definition you are putting on the word form. Form. Please go back to your lexicons. To determine the meaning of form. I think the right thing is being done. The statement was admitted. It's been properly captured on the order paper as programmed by the business committee, and the minister is here to present the statement to the House. So the minister may do so. So as honorable members, Honorable Minister, just a minute. Just a minute. Honorable members, at the commencement, yes.
Mr. Speaker, just to thank you for your guidance and the proper interpretation of 1952. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Too much.
Galamsey, for the longest time until I became a
Honorable members, item 7, statements. The budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, on the authority of His Excellency the President, President John Dramani Mahama, and pursuant to Article 179 of the Constitution, and the other paper, and the standing orders of the House, Order 1952, and today's order paper, item 7. Mr. Speaker, I present to you the budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Right Honorable Speaker, today marks a moment of great significance, and I have the singular honor to stand before this House to present, on behalf of His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, following his extraordinary mandate, the maiden budget of his new administration. Mr. Speaker, I'm deeply grateful to His Excellency the President for entrusting me with this responsibility. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, I also submit to this House the following statutory report as required by law. The 2024 annual report on the petroleum funds, in line with Section 48 of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815, as amended, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also submit the 2024 Energy Sector Levies Report in accordance with Section 6 of the Energy Sector Levies Act 2015, Act 899. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the 2024 Annual Report on the collection and utilization of the African Import Union Levy, in line with Section 7 of the African Union Import Levy Act 2017, Act 952. Right, Honorable Speaker, with this budget, I will also be seeking a review of the following act to support the policies of government aimed at stabilizing the economy and promoting inclusive growth. The first will be an amendment to the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815. The second will be the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund Act 870. And the second will be an amendment to the Mineral Income Investment Fund Act 2018, Act 978. The Speaker, I will also be seeking amendment to the Energy Sector Levies Act 2015, Act 899. I will be seeking amendment to the Ghana Cocoa Board Act, Act 1984, the PNDC Law 81, as amended. The Speaker, that's not all. I will also be seeking amendment to the Earmark Funds Capping and Realignment Act 2017, Act 947, the Ghana Procurement Authority Act 2003, Act 663, as amended in Act 914. Speaker, I will be seeking amendment to the Ghana Education Trust Fund Act 2000, Act 581. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I will also be seeking amendment to the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2018, Act 982, and incorporating into a comprehensive public financial management act. Mr. Speaker, I forgot to add that I will also be seeking amendment to the Revenue Administration Act 2016, Act 915. So, Speaker, we remain committed to the pursuit of our 24-hour economic policy at stimulating economic growth and job creation. Right, Honorable Speaker, this policy will contribute to addressing Ghana's structural economic challenge by creating an integrated, efficient, and increasingly export-driven industrial economy that fulfills the utilization of our national resources, capital, and labor power. Right, Honorable Speaker, will be presenting the 24-hour economic policy to Parliament in due course. In this respect, Mr. Speaker, the Labour Act, the Ghana Investment Promotion Act, and other enabling legislations will be reviewed accordingly. Mr. Speaker, as part of the effort to stabilize our city through foreign exchange and gold reserve accumulation, I will also submit a bill to provide a legal framework for the establishment of the Ghana Gold Board for the consideration of this House. Mr. Speaker, this budget is indeed an abridged version of the 2025 budget statement and economic policy of government. I respectfully request the Hansard Department to capture the entire budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2025. Mr. Speaker, standing here evokes a sense of nostalgia as I reflect on my journey in public service from my early days as a young parliamentarian in this House in the year 2009. Destiny has guided my path from a backbencher to a member of the Finance Committee, to a Deputy Minister of Finance, to ranking member of the Finance Committee, to Minority Leader, to Majority Leader briefly, and now, Mr. Speaker, as Minister responsible of Finance. Right, Honorable Speaker, the invaluable experience I gained in this chamber has shaped my perspective, sharpened my focus, and prepared me for the task at hand. I fully commit to supporting His Excellency the President to fix the economy of Ghana. I take this opportunity to extend my profound gratitude to the good people of Ejumako and Yanesiam, my constituents, and to you, Mr. Speaker, and members of this House across the aisle for your unwavering support throughout my years in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, this esteemed House is a century of rigorous debate, principled cooperation, and at times constructive disagreement, all in the pursuit of greater good of our beloved country. I look forward to working with you, Right Honorable Speaker, and my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to reset the Ghana's economy through sound policy and structural reforms that will propel our country forward. Mr. Speaker, there comes a time in a nation's history when fundamental challenges must be confronted, difficult choices must be made, and a new course must be set for the future. For Ghana, the defining moment is now. Mr. Speaker, President John Dramani Mahama made a commitment to reset Ghana for jobs, accountability, prosperity. The Speaker, as captured in the NDC manifesto, in this regard, the theme of our budget is resetting the economy for Ghana we want. Right Honorable Speaker, the democratic principles we tirelessly fought for are being held. Our democracy has been consolidated with yet another peaceful transition of power. That notwithstanding, our youth face an uncertain future with growing unemployment and hopelessness. This suggests that the dividend of democracy, such as economic prosperity and social justice, remains elusive. Mr. Speaker, the choice before us as a country are clear. We can either continue on a path of self-destruction by not confronting the problems, or we can embark on a journey of fundamental reforms and transformation, one that resets our economic model, redefines our priorities, honors our social contract, and provide opportunity for all. Mr. Speaker, luckily, President Mahama has chosen the path of reform and transformation. He will fix the economy. He will restore hope and lead us to build the Ghana we want together. Right Honorable Speaker, this budget was preceded by the National Economic Dialogue on the theme Resetting Ghana, Building the Economy We Want Together, on the 3rd and the 4th of March 2025. Through this consensus-building dialogue, the people demanded a decisive action, real solution to the severe challenges that plagued us as a country. Mr. Speaker, the 2025 budget is a culmination of the true aspirations, felt needs, genuine desires of the people of Ghana, expressed through the engagement with diverse stakeholders. As part of our broad consultation also, ahead of the budget, we recently engaged traders at major trading centers, including the Mokola market, to listen to their concerns, gauge their expectations, and elicit their input. Mr. Speaker, the extensive consultation revealed that the overriding concern among Ghanaian traders and business community remains price and exchange rate stability. Apart from eroding their working capital, exchange rate volatilities makes effective business planning impossible and increase the cost of doing business. This budget outlines far-reaching measures which will be implemented in close collaboration with the Central Bank, the Bank of Ghana, to effectively and efficiently manage the exchange rate and inflation. Mr. Speaker, we also engage the youth of Ghana in a dialogue on social media as part of our new budget consultation. Mr. Speaker, during my engagement with the youth, it was revealed that 321 pharmacists who were employed since June 2023 have not received their salaries. We will take urgent steps to remedy this situation immediately. Right Honorable Speaker, this conversation was an eye-opening experience, one that strengthened my belief that the voices of the youth matter in designing policies that directly and indirectly impact their lives and future. Mr. Speaker, in the year 2016, I came to this chamber on behalf of the then Minister of Finance, the Honorable Seth Emmanuel Tepe, and led the passage of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 912, to deploy a robust public financial management system. Even though, Mr. Speaker, the Public Financial Management Act remains one of the best in the world. Its poor implementation has rendered our public financial management systems weak, allowing for abuse and costly infraction. So, Speaker, President Mohammed's government is committed to the full implementation of this critical legislation. So, Speaker, accordingly, we will enforce the sanction regime, link contracting and public procurement to budgetary provisions in the medium-term expenditure framework, and seek parliamentary approval for all multi-year commitments as required by law. Mr. Speaker, we will comply with the public procurement process and link them to approved budget. We will also respect the limits of the appropriations as approved by Parliament. We will rationalize the management of the compensation of employees, including conducting headcount across the country. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention or my focus to the state of the Ghanaian economy as at 31st December 2025. Right Honorable Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I now focus my attention on the state of the Ghanaian economy as at 31st December 2024. Mr. Speaker, hands on heart, we inherited an economy in deep crisis. Mr. Speaker, an economy hard hit with debt and beset by other fiscal challenges, such as large accumulation of MDA arrests, energy sector shortfalls, and financial sector payments. Mr. Speaker, weak commitment control and reckless public spending have reversed the progress made in fiscal consolidation, even under the IMF program that commenced in the year 2023. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the gains made under the IMF-supported program that was to achieve through the painful sacrifice of domestic bondholders, external creditors, and taxpayers, the economy remains in distress. Right Honorable Speaker, key performance indicators to be assessed by the IMF staff in the upcoming fourth review of the program, scheduled for April 2025, such as the primary balance on commitment basis, inflation, social protection, and others, as at end 2024, are likely missed. Right Honorable Speaker, in addition, all structural benchmarks due by end December 2024 are also missed. So, Speaker, inflation worsened in the year 2024 from 23.2% in the year 2023 to 23.8% in 2024. So, Speaker, the 2024 end period inflation also exceeded the budget target of 15% by 8.8 percentage points and the IMF central target of 18% by 5.8 percentage points. Unfortunately, this has triggered a discussion with IMF under the monetary policy consultation clause. Right Honorable Speaker, the primary balance on commitment basis worsened from a deficit of 0.2% of GDP in the year 2023 to a deficit of 3.9% in the year 2024. Mr. Speaker, the primary balance on commitment basis target for 2024 was a surplus of 0.5% of GDP. Sadly, the previous government recorded a deficit of 3.9 percentage point of GDP. This presents a slippage of a whopping 4.4 percentage points. Right Honorable Speaker, at the end of December 2024, total central government arrests amounted to 67.5 billion Ghana cedis, representing 5.2% of GDP. The Speaker, with the road sector recording an arrest of 21 billion Ghana cedis. The Speaker, when I assumed office on the 23rd of January 2025, my office was inundated with requests for payment from many contractors and suppliers. To ascertain the total arrests and outstanding payment for all MDAs, the Ministry of Finance decided to formally request all MDAs on the 28th of January 2028 to submit information on all arrests and outstanding claims for validation. Subsequently, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Finance held a special hearing with the MDAs to validate the arrests that were submitted for payment. The response from the MDAs and the validation revealed that a staggering amount of 67.5 billion Ghana cedis is owed to government contractors and suppliers. Mr. Speaker, this consists of MDA's outstanding interim payment of invoices worth 49.2 billion and bank transfer advice at the Controller Accountant General worth 18.3 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this 67 billion excludes 1.73 billion US owed to independent power producers. This 67 billion also excludes 68 billion Ghana cedis owned by Electricity Company of Ghana to contractors. Mr. Speaker, this 67 billion US also exclude the 32 billion owned by the Ghana Cocoa Board to contractors. And Mr. Speaker, this 67.5 billion also excludes the 5.75 billion owned by the Ghana Road Fund to various contractors. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Bank of Ghana is also seeking an amount of 53 billion Ghana cedis as bailout to be able to address their negative equity challenge that they face. Mr. Speaker, as part of the measures to address these mounting accumulated arrests, we have commissioned an audit of these arrest payments and guarantee value for money before a penny will be paid. Mr. Speaker, before a penny will be paid, we'll commit to do that arrest. Right, Honorable Speaker, in addition to the 67.5 billion cedis in arrests, the validation process also revealed that MDAs have awarded contract to the tune of a minimum 194 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this amount represents 16.5% of GDP as at the end of 2024, with the road sector again alone accounting for 100 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, most of these contractors and most of these contracts were awarded without commencement certificate and authorization. Mr. Speaker, this is in blatant violation of the Public Financial Management Act, Act 921. Right, Honorable Speaker, let me now update you on our debt service obligations. Mr. Speaker, apart from the huge arrests and commitment, our fiscal situation is further complicated by huge bullet debt service and constrained fiscal financing options. Currently, Mr. Speaker, the government's option to finance the budget is limited to only Treasury bill market following the debt restructuring program. Moreover, the forthcoming debt service of both domestic and Eurobond debt obligation will have profound implications for fiscal sustainability and balance of payment. Right, Honorable Speaker, domestic debt service alone, programmed for the next 4 years, is 150.3 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, simply put, the interest and principal payment that will be due for payment beginning now for the next 4 years is 150.3 billion Ghana cedis. This represents 11.6% of GDP in domestic debt service obligation alone. The Speaker, of this 150 billion Ghana cedis, 73.3% of this 150 billion Ghana cedis is due for payment in the year 2027 and 2028. Right, Honorable Speaker, 2027 alone, the domestic debt service that will be falling due will be 57.6 billion, and 2028 will be made to call upon to pay 52.5 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, the debt service obligation of 2027 and 2028 are major harms. These harms are cancerous and pose significant risks to the economy of Ghana. But, Mr. Speaker, touch wood, we shall fix it. We shall fix it. Mr. Speaker, our debt service obligation of this financial year is equally burdensome with significant harms. February, we were called upon to pay 9.9 billion. July, we'll be paying 6.2 billion, and August, we'll be paying 10.1 billion, all this year. Right, Honorable Speaker, the fiscal challenges are further compounded by the significant short-term Treasury bill that we also inherited. So, Speaker, These obligations, totaling about 111.1 billion Ghana cedis, requires rollover week in, week out, placing additional pressure on cash flows and liquidity requirements. Mr. Speaker, beyond the domestic maturities, Ghana faces significant external debt service obligations for the next 4 years. The next 4 years will be made to call upon to pay $8.7 billion US dollars, representing 10.9% of GDP, with heavy concentration again in the year 2027 and 2028. Again, Mr. Speaker, 55% of this external debt service will be due in the year 2027 and 2028. Right Honorable Speaker, in the year 2027, we'll be made to pay $2.5 billion US dollars, and 2028, we'll have to again pay $2.4 billion US dollars. Right Honorable Speaker, it seems the debt restructuring undertaken by the previous administration was designed to make 2027 and 2028 debt repayment heavy, sadly. So Speaker, I don't know how come we sat and allowed that design to happen. So Speaker, that is cancerous, but I can assure you we will fix it. Mr. Speaker, in spite of all this upcoming domestic and external debt service obligation, no buffers were built to cushion this unprecedented debt service burden. Mr. Speaker, as of 7 January 2025, the debt service reserve account, the sinking fund in dollar, has a balance of $64,000 US dollars. The Speaker, when we were leaving office, we left behind $319 million US dollars in that same account. The Speaker, the debt service reserve CD account had an amount of 143 million Ghana cedis. Right Honorable Speaker, when we were leaving office, the balance was 430 million Ghana cedis. The Speaker, I now move you to stalled project. The Speaker, due to the bilateral creditors' debt restructuring that is ongoing, undertaken by previous administration, a staggering number of 55 projects have been halted. So Speaker, this leaves a massive amount of 3 billion Ghana US dollars in undisbursed loans and about $300 million in outstanding interim payment certificates, IPCs. Some of these projects include the famous Ifia Kwanta Hospital, the KJTIA Market Phase 2, the Bolgatanga Boko Pomakrom Road, and the Tema Aflawa Road project. Delayed payment and demobilization from site could result in cost overruns of over 1.1 billion US dollars. Right Honorable Speaker, the IMF-supported program imposed an annual disbursement ceiling of $250 million for all bilateral loans that are being restructured. This constraint means that it will take a minimum of 12 years to complete all of this stalled program. So Speaker, unfortunately, as a result of the debt restructuring, all this stalled program, working with the IMF will take a minimum of 12 years if we decide to go business as usual. We'll be engaging in the coming days to resolve this challenge. Speaker, I now take you to the famous energy sector fiscal risk. Mr. Speaker, the increase in energy sector financing shortfall is posing significant risk to the Ghanaian economy. In the year 2024, the Ministry of Finance supported the energy sector with payment of about 20.8 billion Ghana cedis.
Resources could have been used for job creation and other development programs, like roads, schools, and hospitals, if the sector inefficiencies were resolved. Mr. Speaker, a recent exercise conducted by the Energy Sector Financing Modeling Team under the Energy Sector Recovery Program, ESRP, revealed that the business as usual energy sector financing shortfall has increased significantly to about 35 billion Ghana cedis for the year 2025 alone, even after spending in excess of 20 billion cedis in the year 2024. Right Honorable Speaker, more importantly, the
the shortfall for the period 2023 to 2026 has been estimated to be about 140 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this amount is 20 times more than the allocation for goods and services for all MPAs in the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, in addition, the energy sector shortfalls, which relate to current invoices that are largely unpaid legacy arrears due to the independent power producers. Mr. Speaker, the legacy arrears stood at $1.73 billion as at end 2024. Right, Honorable Speaker, the cocoa sector, which has long been the backbone of the Ghanaian economy, is sadly on its knees, owing to gross mismanagement. Mr. Speaker, the sector faces declining output and financing challenges, characterized by unsustainable debt, global cocoa contract risk, and passerelle fiscal expenditures, including cocoa roads, which, Mr. Speaker, is a non-core function of Ghana Cocoa. Right, Honorable Speaker, cocoa production has dropped by nearly 50% over the past 3 years. In the year 2023-2024 crop season, Cocoa Board was unable to supply 330,000 tons of cocoa to meet its contractual obligation. This sharply decline has affected the finances of Ghana Cocoa. This undersupply has been rolled over for subsequent years for the new administration to pay. Mr. Speaker, these 2023-2024 forward sales contracts, not being at lower prices than the current market rates, have resulted in revenue losses of about $840 million for both Ghana Cocoa and the impoverished cocoa farmers. Right, Honorable Speaker, the rollout of cocoa contracts has resulted in a loss of $495 million for the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, these are the risks in relation to the market price differentials, and as a result, forcing the smuggling that we see with Ghana Cocoa. Mr. Speaker, Cocoa Board outstanding debts amount to 32 billion Uganda cedis, of which 11.92 billion is due to be paid in the year 2025. Outstanding cocoa road contracts reached 21 billion Ghana cedis, approximately $1.3 billion in the year 2024. Of which only 4.4 billion has been accounted for in Cocoa Board finances for the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, the financial sector still struggles, even after spending 30.3 billion in the financial sector cleanup exercise by end 2024. This includes 26.9 billion Ghana cedis after spending this amount in the banking sector. Speaker, as we speak, the financial sector is still struggling, and the financial sector will require 10.45 billion Ghana cedis to address the financial sector legacy issues and emerging risk. In addition, Mr. Speaker, an amount of 2.2 billion Ghana cedis is required to fully capitalize the National Investment Bank and the Agricultural Development Bank of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I will also update the House on the fiscal performance for the year 2024. Mr. Speaker, the fiscal performance in the year 2024 was characterized by improved revenue collection, but with significant expenditure overruns. In addition, large arrests were accumulated over the period. Mr. Speaker, in summary, the provisional data shows the following. 1. Primary balance on commitment basis, a key fiscal anchor of the IMF program, worsened from a deficit of 0.2% of GDP at the end of 2023 to a deficit of 3.9% of GDP at the end of the year 2024. This is 4.4 percentage points worse than the target surplus of 0.5% of GDP. Mr. Speaker. On cash basis, Mr. Speaker, the primary balance was a deficit of 1.2% of GDP against the target of 0.6% of GDP, representing 100% deviation. Mr. Speaker, the overall fiscal balance on commitment basis for 2024 was a deficit of 7.9% of GDP against the target of 4.2% of GDP,
Part of overall fiscal balance on cash basis was a deficit of 5.2% of GDP against a target of 5.3% of GDP. Total revenue and grants amounted to 186.6 billion Ghana cedis, or 15.9% of GDP, 5.3% above the revised target of 177.2 billion Ghana cedis, or 17.4% of GDP. The performance was mainly driven by higher than program oil and gas receipts and higher non-oil tax revenue collection. Total expenditure on commitment basis, including discrepancies, amounted to 279.2 billion, or 23.7% of GDP. This is 27.1% above the budget provisions in the year 2024, Mr. Speaker. The primary balance on commitment basis, including discrepancies, amounted to 232.4 billion, or 19.8% of GDP. This is 35.3% above the target of 171.7 billion, or 16.8% of GDP. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, all expenditure lines exceeded their respective targets for the period, except for interest payments, goods and services, and other expenditures. Right Honorable Speaker, the discrepancies for the year 2024 being on classified expenditure was 3.8 billion Ghana cedis as compared to 12.9 billion Ghana cedis in the year 2023. Mr. Speaker, at the end of December 2024, Commissioner data indicate that gross central government and guaranteed debt was 726.7 billion from 610 billion in 2023. This represents 61.8% of GDP in 2024, compared to 68.7% in the year 2023. Mr. Speaker, it is instructive to note that the debt to GDP ratio and the dollar component of our debt that has come down, that has reduced, is as a result of the 37% haircut on principal of Eurobond debt under the debt. That has reduced is as a result of the 37% haircut on principal and interest that were given to Eurobond bondholders. Mr. Speaker, you may recall that the government commenced a debt restructuring program in the year 2022 to restore debt sustainability and economic stability. As of now, the restructuring process is approximately 93% completed. The remaining 7% relate to debt of $2.7 billion owed to commercial creditors. We are committed to completing the remaining debt restructuring as soon as possible. Mr. Speaker, real sector development in the year 2024. Right Honorable Speaker, provisional 2024 GDP statistics published by the Ghana Statistical Service on the 10th of March 2025 shows that overall real GDP growth increased. Mr. Speaker, at the end of provisional 2024 GDP statistics published by the Ghana Statistical Service on the 10th of March 2025 show that overall GDP growth grew by 5.7%. GDP grew by 0.6% in the year 2024, compared with the growth rate of 3.6% recorded in 2023. Mr. Speaker, the gross international reserves increased to a stock position of $8.98 billion at the end of 2024. That was enough to cover 4 months of imports. At the end of 2024, the currency had depreciated by 19.2% against the US dollars, 17.8% against the euro, against the British pound. The Speaker had depreciated by 13.7% against the Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, it is what it is. The state of our economy is struggling, but we will fix it. Mr. Speaker, it will require some sacrifices, truthfulness, transparency, and discipline. We will take strong measures to confront the situation head-on. Mr. Speaker, the sacrifice must come from all stakeholders, beginning with the government. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the President appreciates this and has led the charge by significantly downsizing his government from the Elephant 88 to the Umbrella system. Mr. Speaker, he has also reduced the number of his government ministries from the Elephant 30 to the Umbrella 23. Mr. Speaker, as part of the contribution to the resetting agenda, organized labor has followed suit by working with government and employers association to agree on a modest 10% increase in base pay and minimum wage for the year 2025. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of His Excellency the President, I would like to express my profound gratitude to organized labor and employers. Mr. Speaker, ordinary Ghanaians have also sacrificed by enduring the negative impact of severe currency depreciation since 2022. Hyperinflation, high food inflation, principal and interest haircuts, soaring interest rates, among others. Mr. Speaker, it is now time for the people's representatives, the members of Parliament, and the judiciary to also follow suit. I would like to call on all other stakeholders, including the business community, faith-based organizations, academia, and civil society to support this national goal. Mr. Speaker, our immediate task is to reset our nation, to restore good governance, reduce the excruciating suffering of our people, and set our country on a trajectory of economic transformation. Mr. Speaker, our vision is to build a prosperous and a democratic state, anchored on the principles of freedom and justice, providing equal opportunities for all. Mr. Speaker, through this vision, we will work together to build a Ghana world. Right Honorable Speaker, the resetting agenda will be anchored on the following. 1. Restoring hope in our democracy, renewing trust in public officials, and helping every Ghanaian attain their full potential. Offering a trusted hand to the vulnerable, particularly women and youth, and creating a new Ghana for coming generations. Finally, stimulating demand by patronizing made in Ghana goods under the 24-hour. Today I came to this chamber to make the Ghana back. Very Act 911. The fiscal policy objectives of this government is to support the economic transformation agenda to ensure the macroeconomic stability of the country in the macroeconomic fiscal framework. More specifically, the fiscal policy objective of the government include the following: rationalizing government expenditure and eliminating wasteful expenditures, optimizing domestic revenue mobilization through broadening of tax base, increase non-tax revenue collection, adopting enhanced tax compliance measures, and modernizing the tax administration through digital technology. Mr. Speaker, we will also increase the share of domestic expenditure to spur economic growth and job creation. We will be reducing public debt to sustainable levels and adopting prudent debt management practices to support debt sustainability. Reducing the fiscal deficit progressively in accordance with the amended Fiscal Responsibility Act to promote fiscal and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, restoring confidence in Ghana's economy. Right, Honourable Speaker, our approach will be to foster economic growth, accelerate job creation, reduce inflation, stabilize the state. To achieve this, it is crucial that we establish the macroeconomic stability and ensure debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, we are confident that by prioritizing these fundamental elements, we can cultivate an environment where individuals can prosper and businesses can thrive in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians through the recent National Economic Guidance have expressed a clear desire for fiscal deficit and public debt to reduce through cuts in government spending rather than through only tax measures. We wholeheartedly agree, Mr. Speaker, going forward, we will tailor our expenditure to align with our fiscal realities. After all, whoever pays off their debt gets rich. Mr. Speaker, we are poised to implement a three-pronged approach to achieve our objective, beginning with this budget immediately. First will be to recalibrate the fiscal adjustment, and we believe that by prioritizing spending-led fiscal adjustments can initiate a positive cycle. Fiscal adjustment can initiate a positive cycle in a way that first, it will help lower inflation and curb depreciation of the city. Secondly, it will lessen government reliance on borrowing, which in turn will reduce the crowding out of private sector and lower interest rates. Lastly, this approach will ease the strain on monetary policy, allowing the central bank some greater flexibility to reduce monetary policy rates, ultimately resulting in lower bank and lending rates. Mr. Speaker, the second approach would be to deliver shock therapy. Mr. Speaker, we are implementing a form of shock therapy to the economy by making significant spending cuts this year, thereby reducing government financing needs and front-loading fiscal adjustment. This is the down payment for our policy credibility and creditworthiness. Right, Honourable Speaker, our third approach will be to restore fiscal responsibility. By moving forward, we will enhance public financial management by empowering ministers to effectively manage their budget on their own, ensuring strict compliance with the commencement certificate. Mr. Speaker, we passing and enforcing the revised Fiscal Responsibility Act, and finally, we will enforce the sanction regime for non-compliance of the Public Financial Management Act. Mr. Speaker, in pursuit of the overarching macroeconomic objectives, the following macroeconomic targets have been set for the year 2025. Overall real GDP growth of at least 4% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, not less non-oil real GDP growth of at least 4.8% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, end-period inflation rate of 11.9%. Mr. Speaker, primary balance on commitment basis of a surplus of 1.5% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, gross international reserves, including oil funds and encumbered assets, to cover not more than a minimum of 3 months of imports. Mr. Speaker, to address inflation, government will implement a number of measures to complement the Bank of Ghana and monetary authorities. Mr. Speaker, the measures to stabilize the exchange rate include the following. We will be establishing the Ghana Board to enhance the generation of accumulation and accumulation of forex to support the stability of the Ghana city. The Bank of Ghana will continue to implement its efforts forward auction to support the stability of the Ghana city. Government strong fiscal consolidation through the reduction in public sector spending and the fiscal deficit to reduce the pressure on the exchange rate. Mr. Speaker, our import substitution drive under the 24-hour economy involving domestic production of key products originally imported will reduce imports and related FX requirements, boding well for FX stability. Right Honourable Speaker, we are addressing the inflation problems through a number of measures, including the following. First, specific interventions including the Agriculture for Economic Transformational Agenda is expected to increase food production and reduce food inflation. Government will implement policies that target items with large weight in the CPI basket, such as transportation and utility, to reduce their prices. Speaker, our aggressive fiscal consolidation drive aimed at reducing the fiscal deficit and borrowing will contribute significantly to reducing inflationary pressures. Right Honourable Speaker, our strategy to improve exchange rate stability will reduce imported inflation and fuel prices. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana will maintain an appropriate monetary policy stance and use its liquidity management interventions to support the disinflation process. Right Honourable Speaker, to achieve our expenditure-led fiscal consolidation objectives, we will implement the following measures. Speaker, I now take you to our expenditure measures. Mr. Speaker, the following expenditure measures will be implemented in 2025 and the medium term to support fiscal consolidation objectives. First, we will conduct a comprehensive audit to validate the quantum of arrests and commitment as at 31st December 2024. Mr. Speaker, the mandatory use of blanket purchase order to capture multi-year commitments, contracts in line with our medium-term expenditure series will be implemented. We will amend the Public Procurement Act to provide for an independent value for money office to scrutinize government procurement. Mr. Speaker, we will also work with Parliament to amend the Public Procurement Act to make commencement certificates and budgetary provisions a prerequisite for all procurement that will be paid by the central government. Speaker, we will fully integrate CALEPS and IFMIS to ensure that only MDA projects and purchase orders that have approved budget and allotment can obtain procurement approvals. Speaker, we will operationalize the compliance at the Ministry of Finance to monitor reports on commitment and arrest accumulation. The Speaker, aside that, we will publish a peer-friendly table for compliance purposes. We will strictly enforce sanctions under the sections 96 to 98 of JNPC share of net carried and participating interest. From 30, we will reduce the JNPC share of net carried and participating under the EMR fund campaign plan. Right Honourable Speaker, we will be amending the Mineral Income Investment Fund Act to ensure that 80% of the royalties originally maintained by MIF is transferred to the Consolidated Fund for Infrastructure Development. Right Honourable Speaker, we will strengthen social protection through the implementation of new interventions such as the no academic fee policy for all first-year students, under the no fee stress initiative. Speaker, it also includes the free tertiary education for persons with disability, free primary health care, the Ghana Medical Trust Care, otherwise known as Mahama Care, and free sanitary pads for school use. Mr. Speaker, to address the energy sector challenges, including reducing the quantum of large energy sector shortfalls, the following energy sector recovery program fuel to gas swap through an increase in end gas supply from 60 mmsc per day to 100 mmsc to take advantage of cheaper gas prices and others. Speaker, we will complete the IPP capacity renegotiation to generate some savings through negotiated lower. Mr. Speaker, as agreed with the IMF by the previous administration, we will implement the following ESRP measures to achieve the structural benchmark of the IMF program. Mr. Speaker, exchange rate regeneration. Mr. Speaker, PULC also undertake a major tariff adjustment which will be due in the fourth quarter of 2025 to reflect capacity charges, additional liquid fuel usage, and additional capex. The weighted average cost of gas will increase from the current $7.80 per MMBTU to $8.45 to reflect the increased prices of natural gas as well as the changes in the supply mix. Mr. Speaker, the subsidy on weighted average cost of gas granted to some ceramic companies through the discounted industrial development tariff will be replaced. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to the revenue measures. Mr. Speaker, in proposing some revenue measures to achieve the 2025 fiscal target for your consideration, I'll first take you to the IMF requirement. Mr. Speaker, this measures is inconsistent with our commitment under the IMF supported program to observe the non-oil tax revenue effort of 0.6% point of GDP annually as part of the measures to improve domestic revenue mobilization and achieve our debt sustainability target for the medium term. Right, Honorable Speaker. Despite our commitment to increase the non-oil tax revenue by 0.6%, we have programmed the following nuisance taxes for removal in line with our manifesto policy. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on winning from lottery, otherwise known as the betting tax. We will abolish the electronic transfer levy. In the last 8 years, a study revealed that 29.1 billion Ghana cedis had approved the tax refund account, with only 12.5 billion Ghana cedis, representing 43%
accrued amounts being used for tax refund purposes. Mr. Speaker, the study also revealed that 16.6 billion Ghana cedis, representing 57% of the total amount accumulated in the tax refund account, was misapplied. Mr. Speaker, which is a total violation of the Revenue Administration Act 915 and the Public Financial Management Act. Instructively, Mr. Speaker, there were virtually no tax refund arrests over the period. Mr. Speaker, and therefore, we are reducing the current tax refund ceiling by 2 percentage points from 6% to 4% of total revenue, as defined in Section 69 of the Revenue Administration Act 915. Mr. Speaker, by reducing the ceiling on the tax refund from 6% to 4%, right, Honorable Speaker, we have saved the taxpayer 3.8 billion Ghana cedis. This amount is enough to close the revenue shortfalls from the removal of the e-levy and the betting levy.